Welcome to another episode of the Einstein Retirement Daily, where we curate financial news, economic news, anything that we think could be important to you as a retiree and as you're thinking about gearing up for retirement. Any information that we find and want to bring to your attention and think could be an effect to you, that's what we bring to the table. Today's episode, we're going to talk about how to fail your retirement, or maybe better yet, how to avoid it. And a quick hint, might not be about money, which might surprise some of you. In fact, likely it's not about money at all. So more on that coming right up. If you hear something in today's podcast that causes you to want to take some action or make changes, please, as always, we insist that you confer with the appropriate tax, legal, or investment professional who knows your specific situation prior to making any changes. Okay. Today's topic is brought to us from an article by Mike Drack, who wrote an opinion piece on Market Watch. And the title of his article is I Failed at Retirement, How to Avoid My Mistakes. Obviously, as a retirement planner, I was intrigued by this article, and I thought there might be some value for those of you who listen to our podcast here as well. So I just want to go through, he highlights a few mistakes that he makes, and I'm going to go through those and kind of share with you my experience as a retirement planner in working with many folks who have gone into retirement and have been some who have enjoyed retirement and some who really haven't, and we can talk through how some of this plays in. So Mike says that his first mistake was, I'm going to read the quote, focusing only on the money and believing that the quality of my retirement depended on how much I have. So you'll find this is a consistent theme with him in each of his mistakes, but this is a big one. When it comes to retirement planning, many folks are thinking about it from the perspective of, I need to hit a number. I need to gear up for a very specific number, whatever that happens to be in your mind. Maybe you've done the mental math to say, well, I need to be able to spend 4% from my investments and I need 40,000 a year. And so I need to save at least $1 million, or I want to spend 80,000 a year for my investments. And at 4% a year, that's $2 million of savings. So maybe you've done something like that. But whatever it is, focusing on a dollar amount in terms of how much you have in your investment accounts or in your savings is not the most effective way to do things for multiple reasons. He highlights that it's because, yes, while you need financial security, if all you're trying to get is financial security, it doesn't necessarily fill the gap of what are you actually going to do with retirement. And that's his consistent theme. But I would say that also focusing on a number that you're trying to hit isn't necessarily the best approach, because you really want to focus on what's your spending need to look like. What do you need in terms of cash flow and income to reach your retirement goals? And then from there, it becomes a job of tax planning, income planning, to get to those income goals in the most efficient way possible, not necessarily because you hit some magic number from a savings perspective. So again, mistake number one, focusing only on the money and believing the quality of retirement depends only on how much you have. So that was Mike's mistake number one. Mistake number two from Mike was thinking retiring would be easy. He says it's not. So especially for those of you who've been working for a long time, maybe 20, 30, 40 years you've been in the workforce, shifting from work where you're being paid for your skills, talents, abilities, to then all of a sudden now no longer bringing in an income doesn't necessarily translate very well. In fact, for some people that I work with, retiring ends up being more stressful than working, which sounds a little crazy because I know some of you have very stressful jobs. We work with a lot of people in the medical industry. Those in the medical industry, especially right now, very stressful jobs. And so, how could I say that it's actually more stressful to be retired? Well, believe it or not, I have gotten that feedback from some folks, even those who are in, say, the medical industry. So, you do want to have a plan, because all of a sudden being retired doesn't necessarily mean stress relief. And it's not because personal life or whatever. It's just that, you have this image in your mind, potentially, that retirement's like, okay, I can let off the gas, I can sleep in as late as I want, all this kind of stuff. But that doesn't necessarily equate to low stress. And so it should help, you would think, more sleep. But I've seen many folks who, we have a 2 o'clock meeting, and they're waking up at 1:30 for the meeting, and their quality of life diminished rapidly at retirement, unfortunately. So don't just assume that retirement's going to take stress off the table. It's about how you approach that and how you gear up for it and what you're planning to do. Mike says that mistake number 4 was believing that retiring would make all his problems go away magically. Yeah, not really. So, unfortunately, if you uh, are not in say good habits while you're working, the probability that good habits emerge with all your newfound time, I have to tell you, is not that great. So if you're thinking, well, I don't go to the gym and exercise regularly, I don't go on walks regularly, I don't, I eat more fast food than I should because I have to spend all this time at work. Forgive me, but that's probably not the case. My experience in working with folks is similar to what Mike's experience was for himself. He didn't just suddenly, oh, I'm retired. Now I'm going to wake up nice and early and go hit the gym or go for a nice walk or a hike in the mountains or something. And then I'll, leisurely enjoy my day. Okay. It's not what happens generally. I'll have time to cook my own meals. Yeah, we really wish for that to be the case. But I would strongly encourage you that if that's your dream of what retirement will look like, try to live like that as much as possible while you're still working, because those habits don't just suddenly up with no problem just because you have more time. You can waste a day very easily. Just take a week off of work when it's a staycation, and watch how much time you can waste very quickly. So just be aware that retirement doesn't fix these problems. I talk to clients. Sometimes they're a little concerned. They have some health issues they want to deal with, they want to work on. Well, if you're not doing it while you're working, retiring doesn't just magically fix it, unfortunately. So do be aware of that. Don't go into this assuming that it's going to solve your problems. And then mistake number 5 was his biggest mistake, he said, and that was not having something to retire to. So this is kind of where all these sort of culminate together, in that you really should have a plan, and not just a financial plan, as we highlighted earlier on. We're not just talking about retirement plan as in a financial retirement plan, which obviously I think you should have, right? I think you should have a good financial plan about how you're going to get into and enjoy retirement. But not only should you have that, but you should have a plan about how you will enjoy your retirement years and your retirement days, frankly. So, how are you going to take care of your body? How are you going to enjoy your time? Okay, I would say that unfortunately, I have seen some folks retire and they gain 20, 30 pounds and they suddenly are not doing so well. They kind of lack some purpose. Don't let that happen to you. Go into retirement with a plan, but start trying to live that plan out ahead of time. Okay, if getting your body healthier is something that you're really aiming towards, focus on that now. Find ways to make that kind of stuff happen now. When you retire, set an alarm, have something to wake up to in the morning. If you're part of a church, if there's a Bible study or something that you could be doing in the mornings, try to get something like that on the calendar. If you're into, sewing or knitting or quilting or something like that, find a group of folks that do that early in the morning. If you're into athletics or sports or something like that, join a tennis club, find a gym that you can get involved in some group activity where there's something on the calendar in the morning so that you have something to really get you energized and get you going right at the start of your day. It can really sneak up on you, this whole idea of, hey, I get to sleep in. Yes, that's true, but I got to tell you, that idea of being able to sleep in can really eat away your days in a way that maybe you weren't hoping to have happen. So, really encourage you to be very diligent about your retirement timeline and what you're going to do in those retirement years. A lot of people want to do things with family. That's great, right? Having your schedule tied kind of to your grandkids' schedule and things like that. Yeah, that can work out, right? That can be an enjoyable aspect of things, but really have a good, process and a good plan for how you're going to spend your days. Look, we all enjoy some leisure, but think about how you enjoy your retirements. If you can envision your vacations. When you take a vacation, what is it that you typically do on vacation? Imagine sort of an unlimited amount of time to do the vacation things. That's probably, if you don't have a plan, how you're going to go. Now, for some of you, that's great. You're more like, hey, let's get out there, let's do stuff, let's be adventurous, let's go hiking, let's, go. We got fishermen, we've got hunters, we've got people who are just, they're getting out into the world and enjoying life, and all of that's great. But if your idea of a vacation is, let me hang back, maybe read a book, don't feel bad about that, but you're more apt to be sitting and relaxing in that sense. If on vacation the bottle of wine gets opened at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock or sometime fairly early in the day, you just need to be very cognizant going into retirement that you run the risk of stuff like that happening, and that as a lifestyle probably isn't the greatest plan. So really, I think this article is great. I am going to link it into the description of this podcast so that you can check it out. Again, the gentleman whose article I'm referencing is Mike Drack, and his article from Market Watch entitled, I Failed at Retirement, How to Avoid My Mistakes. And it's a good little primer article. It looks like he has a couple of books that he's written, and maybe worth checking out. So with that, we'll wrap up for today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.